Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Air Tycoon, um, 3. Yeah. Anyways, online 3. Yeah, I forgot. Anyhow, um, we are back here today, and we're doing something a little bit different than what we normally do, and that is normally I would be doing Boeings and Tupolevs and all that kind of stuff. But if we take a look at the amount of money we have and the amount we're making per turn, which on average between up and down ticks is probably about half a billion per turn. Um, we are now rich enough so that that strategy is too tedious to do. As you can see, I have 24 Tupolevs here, which I'm just not using, just because it takes too long for me to request all the slots and just use all of them. So instead, we are going to focus on some new long range stopover routes with owned planes. Now, this is when our value will really start to blow up and blow up quickly. Very quickly, we're going to go from 8th place. I'll show you guys in a second. And we're going to start skyrocketing up the leaderboard. And the main reason for this is once you start to buy your own planes and have a much lower proportion of leases, um, we no longer have basically this jaggedy effect in our value. Let's see if I can find the graph where every time we do a big lease, our value decreases. As you can see, I had a long night's sleep, good night's rest, and well, the value of our company skyrocketed in that time. Um, it's time to start climbing the leaderboard, really. And yeah, it just with how many routes that are available in this kind of ultra long haul regime, I think it's just a good time to start doing these ultra long haul routes. Um, yeah, I'm not even sure if I should stop over these because what would be the other side of the stopover? I guess in this case, something like Buenos Aires. Um, but not in all cases. There's anything to even put on the other side, right? So I'm thinking of just flying some of these routes direct. Um, yeah, like no need to try so hard to turn these into stopovers. Hmm. Actually, I changed my mind. It is still time to stop over. And the reason is later on, instead of flying something relatively small for this route, like a DC 1030, is we can actually fly something much bigger in the future. Like we could fly A380 or a 747 and a what's it called 767 or something. We could fly two planes on it. Like that kind of idea is very good. And basically, we kind of make that decision on whether to upgrade the route or not when it is um, kind of timed for plane replacements, right? So right now, we just kind of make any good route we see just to like put a line on the map, and it makes it much less likely for someone to compete. And if I can't find a good stopover, I will just fly it direct. Um, yeah, because these routes are big enough to fly direct, kind of without losing any load factors. So yeah, it's definitely a kind of why not moment there. So yeah, let's go ahead and just start opening new routes. Now, it looks like a lot of the very premier um, stopover routes are already being flown by competitors, uh, which is okay. It means we can fly some of the routes direct, and that should be fine as well. Um, I mean, we can just find like some of the leftovers. I mean, like we don't need to fly all the most premier routes, right? Like I really enjoy the fact that a lot of our best strategies revolve around um, kind of unorthodox strategies, I guess you could say, where we really focus in on routes which normally wouldn't be the spotlight. Um, and these kind of routes can still generate a huge amount of revenue for us. And I really enjoy that. Um, I always find it like entertaining in the fact that we can fly routes, which I guess nobody else would really consider or open with such high priority, like um, London to Jacksonville, for example, and just like use that kind of route to produce some of the highest income in the game. I find that very, very entertaining in a sense. Uh, where yeah, almost every other airline would focus on marquee cities like Chicago and New York and that kind of thing, and we are just flying um, like basically random bullshit, which nobody else would consider. Now, I do want to stop over this route, but I don't know where. There's not too many good destinations. Maybe Denver. I guess Denver has the most reasonable amount of competition. It won't be very profitable if I make that into a stopover with the amount of competition. And it looks like a lot of like the mid-rangey kind of routes here have just been taken in a direct manner. Wow, even Nashville's competition. Cleveland, yeah, like all these routes have competition. Very interesting. Does Minneapolis have competition? Yeah, it does. Oh, well, it has pretty low competition, so we might as well open this as a stop. Is that only 4 schedules per week? Well, if that's only 4 schedules per week, then we can just go ahead and open Santo Domingo, as that is, what's it called? A place with no competition, something like this. And yeah, anyways, this is kind of when the game also becomes a lot more enjoyable, at least for me. Um, as opening all those Tupolev routes, while somewhat entertaining, kind of gets old real fast, in the sense that, like, man, I would rather be opening almost any other kind of route. Um, because, like, when you're opening all those Tupolev routes, you just have to keep pressing so many buttons. You got to open more and more uh, bases. You have to request 20 something 5 slots every single time you want to make a route, sometimes more. Um, and it just takes so long. So being able to just fly some direct routes, um, or what feels like, or not direct routes, but being able to just fly some stopover routes and some like Boeing 747s, super long range and stuff like that. This feels super relaxing by comparison, right? Uh, we no longer have to kind of hyper focus on just continuing to like make as many stopovers as possible with 747s, which have a limited kind of a demand pool. Yeah, especially the 100s with low range, right? Um, yeah, trying to find enough routes for those guys is starting to get somewhat tedious. We cannot find a 5 schedule per week flight to save my life here. Maybe Charlotte. See how much competition there is. Basically none. A Tupolev 104 is not a popular plane. Um, so yeah, like anyhow, I forget what I was talking about. What I was saying is basically, yeah, like trying to find as many Tupolev routes as I need was exhausting, and now we can just fly 747s everywhere, which is so much more relaxing. We can fly other long range planes too, like DC 1030s. The 747 100s we were flying before is long range, but not that long range. Like it cannot do Trans-Pacific very easily unless it's from like San Francisco, Seattle, or like the west coast of the U.S. Um, and now we can find like good routes kind of everywhere, without even trying too hard. So that is just brilliant. And wow, look, people have really how should I say this? They kind of carefully taken a lot of the really good routes that I would have taken, but anyhow, there's still a lot of good routes available, so there's nothing to worry about there. Um, that is probably not a route that is worth making, but we'll go ahead and make it anyway, because we already selected it, right? Um, yeah, how many DC 1030s did I order? A few. Okay, yeah, the DC 1030s are mostly they're a little bit cheaper and about the same size, right? So I want to use the DC 1030s for Trans-Pacific and such when possible. Basically, I just want to use these for routes where the 747 dash 100, not the SP or the 200 or anything like that, couldn't make it the range, um, which is a pretty common problem, I guess, at this point. Yeah, I really wish that the 747 100 or like just any other really good big plane was leasable, right? Because that's the real restriction here is if we could lease even longer range plane, then we wouldn't have any of these issues, right? We could just continue to lease the longer range plane and still do Tupolevs. I guess I still at this point just don't want to do any more Tupolevs. It is super frustrating um, to need to just continuously think about, oh, where am I going to add the next Tupolev route? Like, yeah, like it was taking like yesterday night, I continue to basically play in the same strategy that I usually do on and off camera, right? So in between like days I'll add over, or in between like episodes, I'll probably add more than 100 planes sometimes, right? And in this case, I was adding planes, and I just couldn't be bothered anymore. It was like, all right, I got 75 Tupolev 124s to use, or 134s, and I'm just like, is this really what I want to be doing with my night? Just requesting slots for like 35 minutes and just like clicking. My wrist is getting tired just from like dragging the sliders around so much. And I was like, no thanks. Let's switch to a different strategy. We have enough cash now. I will use these Tupolev 124s eventually when I feel like it, but they just feel so unimpactful too compared to long haul planes. Uh, let's go ahead and lease some 747 100s, of course. I think I made the premium class even a bit too small here, so let's add like an extra seat, couple seats. Um, yeah, we still want to lease 747 100s, right? Because basically for free, and we will continue to do so until um, kind of the end game where until they're just not available to lease anymore. That's probably when we'll stop. Otherwise, we'll continue. So also order a couple DC 1030s, just for the occurrence that we find a route that's under the 1030s range, and we can save a little bit of money that way. I think Phoenix to Rome. I'm not really sure that's worth making. Let's do something funny. Let's do Santiago to Oh, that is really way too far. Okay, I never didn't realize how big South America was. Okay, instead of that, let's look at Chicago. Let's see what we have to Chicago. Oh, Chicago is really well taken by whoever is based here. Let's kind of see who this is. Oh, this is JK Stan. I hate this guy. Um, he is probably gonna own me if I try and compete with him. Um, so yeah, we're ready to get owned, but we're gonna make these anyway because why not? We're gonna compete. We're gonna get in the actually we really shouldn't be. We should be looking for as many monopolies as possible. Basically until we have a much higher value than we do now, and then we should start competing. Because competing this early hurts him proportionally less than it hurts me. Um, so yeah, that's actually not a really wise decision. It's just something I'm doing because haha, it's kind of funny. And man, so many people have started to do good Trans-Pacific routes. That's a bit of annoying. Um, yeah, it's just a bit annoying. That's okay. We can continue to make good routes anyways. Yeah, just continue to look for these stopovers. And man, I really hate whoever took all these routes in North America. I guess we can just make the second side in competition for most of these. It looks like we have some other players who are actually um, very aware of stopover strategies. Western Airlines. I see this guy making a lot of stopovers, and we're kind of gonna let's see how he does. Um, I think like his biggest mistake, I guess, if you could call it that, is just starting out with two premium planes. Is like he's making the right kind of routes from what I can tell, but just doesn't have enough cash to really make a huge amount of these good routes. Um, like we are getting to the point where, in a lot of senses, we really do have enough to make a lot and a lot of good routes. As you can see, we've probably ordered over 20 very large, super long haul planes this turn. Um, And yeah, that's just a really, really good sign. And we're probably gonna need to fix this later too, as you don't ever want any red, as that can be very, very negative for your company. Um, yeah, just continue to expand out of Los Angeles. It's just the most brain dead. Um, I think a lot of the times I'm tempted to try and like find a few good routes from every good market. And expand that way, but that's kind of actually much more exhausting than the alternative, which is to just expand with any route that's good enough wherever you can find it and kind of go more or less sequentially, like do one city at a time and then move on to the next. Somehow, some way, it feels a lot easier. Um, so yeah, we're gonna do that instead. So let's do Nagoya to Chicago. See if is Tampico in competition? Okay, it is. Yeah, I hate when like one line is like being blocked by another. Um, yeah, it makes it really hard to see. Kind of annoying. Let's see if we can do some tech to Africa. Yes, we can. Yeah, Kano is not a bad city at all. And very few people know about it, so that's good. Let's go ahead and do I don't think Vladivostok is worth it yet, so let's just take a look if Sapporo reaches New York, and I think it should, yes. And then we can do a quick stop over to Habana or something like that and call it a day. Oh, that's 5 schedules per week too, so that's great. Um, Anyhow, I think we have three 747-100s, and kind of the main market I've been using these for is we find a city in Europe, which is about 300 business and tour. I don't know if we can do that right now. I think we've done most of them. Hmm. That is a bit of a problem. Did I miss anything over here? No, I really didn't. Oh, Turin, I did. Okay. Perfect, perfect. We will do Turin, we will do New York, and then just pick something on the West Coast that we feel like competing with, or just opening as a brand new route. Um, Spokane is a little bit too close. Okay. Guadalajara is a bit too close. Okay, maybe something down here. Nope. Metal. Okay, that's just too small. I think the little city near Los Angeles here should be good enough as the other half of the route is carrying most of the demand. So we can do something like this. Another kind of stopover route I've been doing is just using Paris to very mediocre sized cities, as Paris is becoming very big as the World Traveler Index is growing, right? So we can actually make routes with less than 250 business and tour to Paris, stop them over somewhere, and yeah, I find that this is still able to generate enough demand to kind of fill up a 747, like something like this. Um, it doesn't look very good. Um, you probably haven't heard of either of the cities that I'm stopping over to, except for in the context of this game, which is the case for me. But it can still fill the plane, which is at this point what's the important factor to consider here. Let's see if any of these cities are decent-ish. Not really. Trujillo, is that in range? Nope. Oh, here. Yeah, Fortaleza seems like a pretty good city with about 250 business and tour. So we can go ahead and connect that to Paris and go ahead and stop over in. Um, let's see if we can find anything decent left over here. Maybe like Mokpo, sure. Yeah, like this is the kind of stopover which legitimately can make money now that the World Traveler Index has grown a bit. I think it's now 3,100. Yep. So as you can see, we've had really good growth since the economic crash, which has let us do this. So what I will do now is, of course, make sure the prices are set correctly. I've been enjoying 1.25 pricing just because it really balances the up and down ticks a lot. So this is kind of my new base pricing. Um, so yeah. Anyhow, with that being done, that's kind of all I want to do for this episode. I will use those two plebs and fix these off camera. Um, it's just kind of boring to do on camera. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. A little bit of a mix up in strategy where we're just purchasing most of our planes now, and we can start to see that value rise. And our profits will probably rise quickly too. Anyhow, hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.